Let's start from the beginning. So if we want to be technical about it, animation is pretty dang old. Humans have been attempting to stimulate motion in pictures even through cave painting. In 3000 AD, Shar-e-Sukten was a pottery bowl from the Bronze Age that depicted goats leaping around it. There's a 4,000-year-old Egyptian mural that features a series of images that depict the sequence of events in a wrestling match. Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man drawing shows a naked guy drawn at multiple angles. This implies movement. This was when animation was at its most primitive. Of course, true animation started with all these inventions, such as the magic lantern, the thermoscope, the phonetoscope, the zetoscope, and the moviola, also flipbooks. In 1906, a student named Marx made a film called Humorous Faces of Funny Faces. This film sparked a lot of theatrical cartoons shot not only in the USA, but also France. Some of these silent films were Felix, a cat, Gertie the dinosaur, and Little Nemo. In the year 1914, an animator by the name of Winsor McKay made a short film called Gertie the dinosaur. The film was originally used as part of his vaudeville act, but it became so successful that he just decided to screen it separately. Gertie was the first film to use techniques such as keyframes, tracing paper, and animation loops. And then there was this jerky guy named Bray who tried to patent a whole bunch of McKay's techniques, and he managed to patent a few of them. That Bray guy tried to take anything without someone's name on it. Some of the patents he tried to steal were things like translucent animation cells and animation pegs. But after Bray put patents on most of McKay's methods, he actually tried to sue McKay for using his patents. Fortunately, McKay won the lawsuit and ended up receiving royalties from Bray for the stolen things. Moving on from that, we're going to take a look at the silent film era. The silent film era gave birth to what we all know and love, such as Mickey Mouse and various others. The animated silent film era is probably best known for Felix the Cat. Felix the Cat was created at Pat Sullivan's studio, but for some reason there was a lot of hoo-ha confusion over who designed Felix. But the official credit goes to this guy Otto Mesmar, so good for him. But Felix's fame began to fade when Disney's cartoons were introduced. Walt Disney was a pioneer in animation technology, and in 1928 he was the first to use sound animation with his Steamboat Willie film. And not only did he use sound technology, but his studio was the very first to use storyboards in animation. This improved things like layouts and shots drastically, and in 1937, Walt's best friend and lead animator, Ub Iwerks, invented the very first multi-plane camera, using parts from an old Chevrolet car. This Ub Iwerks guy was Walt Disney's right-hand man, and is responsible for most of the things Disney is known for. Ub was actually the person who designed Mickey Mouse and Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Oswald was so successful that Disney and Ub were able to restart their own studio with Disney's brother Roy. However, when Universal refused to pay Disney's royalties for his character they kind of had the right to, they did own the character and Disney signed the contract, so, they technically owned it, but he knew what he was getting into. Anyway, Disney didn't stay petty for long and decided to just make a new character, he told Ub to do it. And thus, Mickey Mouse was born. So actually, the first sound cartoon was Plain Crazy in 1928. But Disney wanted it to have sound, so it wasn't released until after Steamboat Willie, so that's where it kind of gets a little technical. Steamboat Willie was technically the first cartoon to have, sound. In fact, Mickey was voiced by Walt Disney himself. And soon after that, Plain Crazy was re-released with a soundtrack. This brings us into the golden age of animation, which is kind of when theatrical cartoons began to, not become so popular, and then television and feature films became a big deal.
Next came the television era. The animation industry began to adapt to the fact that television continued its rise in the entertainment with a medium choice for American families. During this time, some well-known American cartoons were Pink Panther, Looney Tunes, The Flintstones, Tom and Jerry, Scooby-Doo, The Jetsons, Charlie Brown, Felix the Cat, Astro Boy, Casper the Friendly Ghost, and many more. Anime made its way to America during the 1960s. Throughout this period, Japanese anime production made a limited impact on the North American market. With their complex storylines and frank ideal of violence helped create the groundswell that would lead to the major influx of anime popularity starting in the 1990s. Then there is the Renaissance age of animation. Limited animation is the rule on television during this era. It is also the practice of using mixed match parts in animation rather than drawing every single new frame. Warner Brothers had an ideal after they hired a bunch of Hanna-Barbera aspects to bring Looney Tunes style comedy into the 1990s that Steven Spielberg produced. Much of the crew from these shows went on to launch the DC animated universe with Batman, the animated series, in 1992. Nickelodeon launched the Nicktoons brand in 1991 with Doug, Rugrats, and The Ren and Stimpy Show. However, opposed from Nick, Cartoon Network launched its own original series with the remnants of Hanna-Barbera like Johnny Bravo, Dexter's Laboratory, Ed, Edd and Eddy, and Codename Kids Next Door. Finally, we have modern day animation. Animations from the year 2000 to the present has changed from being simply a 2D feel and has morphed itself into being mostly 3D or flash animation. Disney himself has made millions from using 2D animation in long catalogs of films. In 2004, it was very aware that Disney stopped making traditional animated films because the demand was down and they were constantly losing money from such movies like Home on the Ranch and Treasure Planet. 3D animation has shaped the face of the new millennium. Evidently, Disney said no way to traditional animation, excluding Princess and the Frog and Winnie the Pooh. Pixar and other animation studios took this example. They wanted to make more emotional feel with visual appealing content. Pixar's Toy Story 3 became the first animated feature film to earn more than $100 million in worldwide release. Pixar has won a whopping 8 Academy Awards for animation. Spirited Away was the last traditional 2D animation film to win an Academy Award for animation in 2002.